This is Green Blitz with your host, Joe Mauceri.
Year one of the Aaron Glenn era is in the books. And, well, it might have been the worst year in franchise history. But according to reports, Aaron Glenn will be back as the Jets head coach. The question is, should he be? Welcome to the final episode of the Green Blitz for the season. I am Joe Mauceri, and joining us each and every week, NFL reporter for the New York Post, Ryan Dunleavy. Ryan, should it be one and done for Aaron Glenn in New York?
Should be based on results, not based on the fact that he has a 5-year contract and Woody Johnson's not going to pay off the final 4 years. Look, it was as bad as anything I've seen, and I've seen a lot of bad here. Pat Shurmur's second season, Joe Judge's second season, Adam Gase's second season. I've seen a lot of bad. It was as bad as anything I've seen in December. The 5 straight blowouts in December and January. I think I said the other day, like, more than any team I've ever covered, Joe, they just needed to stop playing games. Like, every game was just a total embarrassment. Yeah. Like, they just needed the games to stop. Like, if they played next Sunday, they'd lose by 40 again. Like what they tried to do, Joe, and it's impossible and it's embarrassing, is they tried to lose competitively. Like, they did not put a good product on the field thinking about their draft position, and they tried to do it while keeping the game, while losing, while not embarrassing themselves. And what ended up happening was it blew up in their face because they didn't have good enough players on the field, so they got annihilated every Sunday.
All right, let's go through some of these stats just because they're fantastically terrible to look at and it's hard to fathom. They lost their last 5 games by 23 points or more. I believe that was the first time that had happened in franchise history. They finished dead last in margin of victory, in yards differential, and turnover differential. That I don't believe has ever happened in NFL history. They finished with zero interceptions. Yes, a record that can never be broken, can only be tied. If
I'm
that's
not sure
ever
it'll
to
be
happen.
tied.
It may not. Sure it's going to stand. That's for sure. And this is a coach who is supposed to be a defensive coach. Now, to be fair to Aaron Glenn, he took it on the chin after the Week 18 game. Here's what he had to say about a miserable year one with the Jets.
And I let the players down. I let the organization down. And that burns me. It really does. This was not expected of where we are this season. And I understand that. But here's what I do know. I know the reason why I came here. And I am not going to waver from my beliefs on what I think wins games in this league. And I am very confident in myself. I'm very confident in this organization. I'm very confident in our owner. I'm very confident in Mooj. And we're going to work our ass off the where it needs to be. And I do know that. But I'll tell you this. This season's on me.
Glenn is a proud man. When he came to this franchise, he said he just wanted to put a team out on the field that fans could be proud of, because if they put a team out on the field that fans could be proud of, that the wins would follow. Fans breaking out the paper bags again at the end of the season here. And we went through all of the horrible stats, Ryan. When you're historically bad, you would think at least you end up with the number 1 overall pick. But somehow the Jets do not even have the number 1 overall pick with all those horrible stats that exist out there. So there's no guarantee that you're going to get your quarterback of the future, at least not the one that you want, because they might not be there because the team picking ahead of you also needs their franchise quarterback.
Imagine the stats the host of Raider Nation Blitz is reading out right now. right. Yeah. Black and silver Blitz. Like, no, it's bad. I mean, Joe, they went 0-13 under Adam Gase and then won 2 in a row and didn't get the number 1 pick and got Zach Wilson instead of Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah.
It can't be that bad. that can't happen again, right?
I mean,
Right?
it absolutely,
Right?
it looks like it might. But here's the thing. So we're talking about how bad things are for the Jets. I've seen so many things out there on social media about, I forget who put it out there. If you know, please give them credit. But something about if you asked every other team in the AFC East if they would want Aaron Glenn back as the coach of the New York Jets, they would say yes, a resounding yes, that they want him back. And that speaks volumes to it. I think it was Todd McShay who came out and said there's not one player in this upcoming draft that wants to go to the New York Jets. Like, that is mind-boggling.
Let me tell you a funny story.
Go ahead.
Way before I was covering Rutgers, Terry Shea was the head coach in the late 90s. And the Big East coaches voted him Big East Coach of the Year when I think he went like 5-7. And I wasn't there, but the story that's told through the years is that they voted him, I think 5-6, I think. And the story that was told through the years was they voted him 5-6 because they wanted him to come back. He was on the hot seat, and they wanted him to come back. So they gave him Big East Coach of the Year, knowing Rutgers would have to bring him back. So
that is hysterical.
So that is kind of, I think, what you're saying here with the Jets.
So
Look,
what I'm hearing is that Aaron Glenn is going to get votes for Coach of the Year this year.
He did not get my vote. I have one this year. He did not make my top 5.
Okay.
But yes, no, that's what you're saying is accurate. Like, I don't know how many organizations would bring Aaron Glenn back after this kind of miserable year. And like, he likes to reference it to Dan Campbell's first year with the Lions, but that team got better as the season ended, not worse.
Yeah. All right. So we talked about all the numbers. You said that you don't want to cut ties with him, considering the fact that he's in the first year of a 5-year contract. But you look at, and it's funny, we're talking about another terrible team, the Raiders, who just fired their coach after 1 year in Pete Carroll. And I believe I saw the numbers. They're going to have $50 million tied up in coaches next year who will not be coaching the team.
Oh, my God.
Antonio Pierce, John Gruden, obviously Pete Carroll. I'm missing somebody in there. But all of those people who are getting
Josh McDaniels.
There you go. And there's one more. I think we're missing one more. But anyway, so all that money tied up in coaching. Should that matter in the NFL? Like, if you know he's not the guy at this point, should it matter how much money or how much time? Because you're like, with the money you can make back as an NFL organization from getting home playoff games, from being good. I mean, the stadium was empty. MetLife Stadium was empty. Jets fans, we saw there was the article about the longtime Jet fan who's not renewing his season ticket package because they want to increase prices there. There's nobody in MetLife Stadium for these games.
I certainly wouldn't be increasing ticket prices. I'd be doing everything fan friendly I possibly. I'd be having tickets discounts or free parking or whatever you call Monopoly, like
a $1 beer day and $1 hot dogs.
Dollar hot dog day and free upstage the Giants and do free large Pepsis. I don't know, but
for those not familiar, the Giants do a free medium soda day.
Last year.
Yeah, so the free large soda day would be to upstage them.
But I will say this. I never count another man's money. So, yes, Woody Johnson has $1 bazillion. I get it, right? But, like, if you and I have $100 and Woody Johnson has $1 bazillion, then, like, him paying off Aaron Glenn is like you and I paying off like $1.50 or whatever. And I still don't like to waste $1.50. I still don't like. I want a donut if I'm spending $1.50. I don't want to just throw it on the ground. So, like, I still don't like it. So, like, I'm not going to count another man's money. Like, if he doesn't want to just waste it and hire a new coaching staff, I get it. Like, Aaron Glenn's got to go in on the shortest of leashes. Like, he might not make it through year 2 if it looks like this again. But I don't necessarily have a problem with you hired a first-time coach. He made a lot of mistakes, a lot in how he handled things on and off the field. I don't necessarily have a problem with letting him have a full season to hire a different staff, to get his quarterback, to build better relationships with people. I don't necessarily have a problem with giving him a learning curve of at least a half a season next year.
All right. Well, Aaron Glenn said he has faith in Darren Muji. He has faith in ownership. Do you have any faith in Muji? Obviously, the jury's going to be out for a little while on the moves he made midseason, but that seemed to be at one time the bright spot of the Jets' season was the trade deadline. How are you feeling about Darren Muji going into this offseason?
Well, if you're asking me levels of confidence, it would be Darren Muji, Aaron Glenn, Woody Johnson. So,
yeah.
Muji is definitely first, and by a mile in that triumvirate. He did give up a lot. I mean, he gave up. Quentin Williams is probably going to be an All-Pro, and Sauce Gardner's a good player who's been an All-Pro. It's nice to get the draft pick capital. It only matters in the end if you got really good players for it. If you get 3 All-Pros or 2 All-Pros and a long-time starter for the picks, then great. Then you nailed it and you made a good trade. If you get those picks and you end up with 3 of the IDSIC 12 as your players for Sauce Gardner, then you blew it. So. Yeah. I would say the jury's out. I like Muji's processes. I need to see the results. I like his process-oriented thinking. Let's see what he does with these draft picks and how he gets a quarterback. Because Dante Moore doesn't come out of the draft. I don't know where the Jets' next franchise quarterback is coming from. It might not be till 2027, and Aaron Glenn isn't going to want to hear that because he won't be here in 2027 if he doesn't have a quarterback.
It's funny. I saw some rumors about Brian Daboll maybe going to the Raiders and as offensive coordinator over there, and somebody was saying, well, that Dante Moore might fit his style more. Daboll might be a bigger fan of Dante Moore, which I think the Jets have to hope for at this point. Because I feel like Fernando Mendoza is not the kind of guy who's going to turn down an opportunity to go play in the NFL and would come to New York and play for the Jets based on his personality. And this is complete speculation from what I've seen just in his media blitz as Indiana continues to march forward in the college football playoff. Dante Moore, maybe this is a little unfair, but I could see him. I mean, I guess he kind of waited his turn, right? In Oregon with the Ducks a little bit. So I could see him waiting another year, enjoying college football, and foregoing the NFL draft if it looks like he's going to end up with the Jets.
Yeah, we're giving Brian Daboll as an offensive coordinator way too much power in this situation. Like 100%. John Spytek and whoever the head coach is, if Daboll's the OC, it would probably be Brian Flores, are going to have much more say in that decision than Brian Flores. They're going to hand a quarterback, they're going to hand Mendoza to Daboll and say, either you get along with this guy or this is a half-season job for you, Brian. Mendoza's not the problem. You're the problem.
Yeah.
So, I would think Flores, after he didn't get along with Tua Tagovailoa in Miami, is going to do whatever he can to get the best quarterback, not the one that fits Brian Daboll's personality.
But you know what? But here's the other thing too. At this time, right now, we're all talking about Fernando Mendoza like he is the surefire number 1 pick. If Oregon goes and continues to win and they win the national championship, right? All of a sudden, and then the combine happens and Moore performs well at the we could be talking about a completely different thing where Moore, we could have maybe Tim Couch and who was Tim Couch? Was Peyton Manning? Was that the one? Or Ryan Leaf and Peyton Manning? Who was Tim Couch? Was 1 and 2?
Achilles Smith and
neither of those.
Donovan McNabb. Donovan. It was Couch 1, McNabb 2, Achilles Smith 3.
Right. Okay. In that one, but Ryan Leaf, Peyton Manning, whatever it is, the 1-2 that you're talking about, or to use something that
Trevor Lawrence.
There you go. There you go. It's a little closer to home.
C.J. Stroud and Bryce Young.
Yeah, and it's different though because unlike Peyton Manning, right? These guys are because of the nature of college football and everybody bouncing around. It's like having that one good year. All of a sudden, I mean, Bill Parcells used to say he wanted guys who were seniors, right, coming out and who had started X number of games and had an X number of win percentage.
20 or 25 or 30 college starts, something like that. Yeah.
But the nature of it now, I mean, it's boom and bust. It's one day your stock is going through the roof, the next day you're tanking.
Yeah, I think it's going back to the Parcells way. I think NFL teams are valuing experience more and more when you look at the Penix going 8 to the Falcons, or Bo Nix going 12, or I'm trying to. Who was this?
Brock
Jackson
Purdy.
Dart.
I mean, you look at Brock Purdy
Jackson
too.
Dart had like Jackson Dart had like 40-something starts. I think it's going more and more to that, and more away from the Anthony Richardson 1-year wonder kind of model.
Although I don't know that Michael Penix worked out all too well for the GM of Atlanta now.
Well, it would have worked out better if he had $160 million worth of players to surround Michael Penix with instead of tied up in Michael Penix's backup.
Yeah. Well, Kirk Cousins won a bunch of games down the stretch of them. All right, we're enough talk about the Atlanta.
Really mattered.
We'll talk about Kirk Cousins, the Jets starting quarterback, next year when he's here as the Jets starting quarterback. We got to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about the players' reaction to this terrible season for Gang Green. Ryan Dunleavy, don't go anywhere. I know you might want to sneak off, but the Gang Green Blitz will be right back.
Welcome back to Gang Green Blitz.
Well, the Jets packing up their locker room today, but apparently it was more like a ghost town after a terrible season. 3-14 in the first year under Aaron Glenn. Not too many players wanted to talk about the failed season, but those who did stood by and supported their coach. Here to break down year one under Aaron Glenn and the Jets' terrible, no good, very bad season is Ryan Dunleavy, NFL reporter for the New York Post. Ryan, were you surprised by just how much of a ghost town it seemed like in the Jets locker room?
No, I wasn't. I wasn't there. Let's make that clear, Joe. But I've heard from the reporters who were. I've read the Twitter messages. I wasn't. The Jets have kind of a losing culture under Aaron Glenn, and quite honestly, before Aaron Glenn. It's a lot of the players have had to stand up and answer a lot of the same questions. Hell, people like me have had to ask a lot of the same questions. Year after year, week after week. It wears on everybody. It's why I laugh when audience TV viewers or newspaper readers say, like, you love covering a losing team. Nobody loves covering a losing team.
No.
Nobody. So winning is good for everybody's business. So, no, I'm not surprised. It's kind of indicative of, I don't want to say a lack of accountability, but people just don't want to be the face of this organization right now. They don't want to be the face. They don't want to be the face of losing. They don't want to get up there and say and tell you lies about how confident they are. They're going to turn it around. So they just don't show. They just don't show up, and it's not required of them to show up. Like they're cleaning out their locker. If they want to do it before or after the media comes in, they can. It's good relationship building. It's good branding, but like it's good for the fans. The teams try to encourage players to come out and be the voice, but like I said, do you want your brand to be you're 9-50 in the last 3 years or whatever it is? Like it's hard. It's hard. Let's shout out some of the players who did talk. Like Harrison Phillips is an upstanding dude who's only been here 1 year, and he said, we had one of the great quotes about his about the 5 straight blowout losses being some of the worst in NFL history, and how no one wants their name attached to that, and that's going to live on for the rest of history, and his name's going to be attached to that, and it makes him sick, basically.
Yeah, he also talked about, he was asked about the 15-year playoff drought, and I guess asked for a little leeway. Grace. Yes. And the fact that, some of these guys have, obviously, none of these guys have been here 15 years.
But a lot of them have been here 3, 4, or 5 years.
Right. And so, but that 15 years, it's the longest drought in North American sports in the 4 major professional sports here. And you look at it, and it has to start to creep in on the franchise. So we did hear from Jermaine Johnson, who has basically become one of the faces of this team after yesterday's loss. And he was asked about Aaron Glenn, saying that this season is all on him. Here's what Johnson had to say after yesterday's loss.
Honestly, and I hope y'all don't quote this wrong, but this has definitely been the worst season I've been a part of as a team. And key word apart. I got my hands in it. My hands are bloody. Everybody's hands are bloody in this. So for him to say that's on him, I don't fully agree.
Talk about all these guys who are in the NFL who probably are playing on good teams throughout their career in football, whether it's at the high school level, right? They've been the best player, and usually that leads to winning teams, even at the collegiate level. You're not used to going 3-14, to not being able to figure it out. And I just thought the fact that Johnson said everyone's hands are bloody. Like the imagery of that's what it feels like for these Jet fans who have been there for this organization year in and year out. And it's like how much more blood, sweat, and tears. And I mean that because how many fans are at home punching the hole in their sheetrock or throwing things at their television or, just not nice to be around for their family members after another miserable Jets game.
Look, man, I wish I could tell Jets fans it's going to get better, Joe. I mean, how long I don't know these answers, but like how long were the Pittsburgh Pirates bad between the 70s of Roberto Clemente, then the 90s of Barry Bonds until Andrew McCutcheon. They were bad. Yeah. They were bad from 92 to 2012. That's 20 years, man. There's other there's the Yankees were bad for 15 years in the 60s, right? From 63 to 70.
Don't bring up nobody's going to give you sympathy for the Yankees.
I'm saying the Royals were bad.
Look
for
here,
years.
you got the Nets, right? It's the Ets curse. You got the Jets, the Mets, and the Nets. And the Mets are the best of them.
Nobody's giving you the Mets either. They were in the playoffs. They won 103 games 2 years ago. But I'm just saying, that's who the Jets are. The Pirates. They're the Royals. They're the Sacramento Kings. Just went 18 years without making the playoffs after Chris Webber. This crap happens. 15 years. It's brutal, but in the scope of bad franchises, you can go 20, 25, 30 years without doing anything notable.
Yeah.
It happened. Look at the Browns, man.
I know.
They were in the AFC Championship game 3 times in the 80s, and they didn't win another playoff game till Kevin Stefanski, and they fired Kevin Stefanski today.
Yeah.
So I mean, this happened. They've been bad for 30 years.
The one thing that I will say, you brought up the Pirates, and I go back, and I think that was just a 1-game playoff, the wild card that they were in. Yeah. And I just think about how raucous that crowd was and how excited those fans were once that team finally made the playoffs. I don't think it's going to happen next season for the Jets. A franchise quarterback, if you find it in the draft, can quickly turn around a franchise and expectations and hope. And that is the beauty of the NFL. But if you keep throwing bad money after bad money and bad decisions after bad decisions, things aren't going to get better. I want to talk about one guy before we go because we talked about him a lot throughout the season. He wasn't there today. You said that players can decide whether or not they go and clean out their locker during the hours that media are there. It's good for building relationships, building brand. I have no idea where this guy's relationships are in the locker room right now. I have no idea where his relationships are with media right now. But Breece Hall is a guy that could have been extended this year, that is going to become a free agent, that saw other players he was drafted with get paid. He was not there today. What in your mind, if you're looking into your crystal ball, is going to be the future for Breece Hall? Because if before you answer, I just want to say this. The perfect Jets thing right now is that he walks away somehow. He walks away, and he is the one player that, outside of Garrett Wilson, who is an offensive weapon that they can rely on. So he should be gone because that would make sense for the Jets. What do you think is actually going to happen?
If I had to guess, I'd say he gets franchise tagged, gets angry, and gets traded. That would be I don't think they'll let him go for nothing. They could have traded him at the trade deadline, probably for a 3rd or 4th round pick. They didn't. I think they'll franchise tag him and probably end up trading him. He'll get angry, won't report, and they'll probably end up trading him for some sort of mid-round pick.
Probably lower than the pick they were offered at the trade deadline this year.
Depends. If they give a team permission to work out a multi-year deal and they get a deal, then that'll probably get them. If he gets signed beyond just the franchise tag, they'll probably get more in draft capital than if some team's trading for just his 1 year. Probably similar, probably a 4th round pick or whatever, 3rd round pick, whatever. That's probably what the future. I don't see Darren Muji making the Joe Shane mistake with Saquon Barkley. I don't think any general manager will ever do that again based on how much egg it ended up with Joe Shane's face. So I think he'll franchise tag him. If Reese wanted to play on that, the Jets have the money to let him do that. I think he probably won't. Most running backs don't want to because of the injury risk. And then there'll probably be some sort of, okay, we'll just take what we can get for you, but we're not letting you walk away for nothing.
All right, Jets fans. The good news is your Super Bowl is right around the corner. The NFL draft will be. Go ahead.
I saw an AI something on Twitter the other day where it was like predicting the next 75 Super Bowl winners, and the Jets win a Super Bowl in like 2067 or something like that. So
2067. So we're 41 years away from that now in the year 2026.
Yeah, something like that. So that's all. You just got to hang on.
I don't know if I'll be here to see it.
Just hang on.
If you're covering the team, I guarantee you won't be, because you can't survive that many more years of Jets football like this. But you survived this season, and we appreciate you helping us get through it. Maybe next year you'll get a cup of coffee because we'll see both teams win on the same day. We even was willing to stretch it to the same week, and we couldn't have it happen this season. Jets fans, you're picking number 2 in the NFL draft. Perhaps the quarterback of the future is just around the corner. And for that, you can hope. I think Ted Lasso said it's the hope that'll kill you, though. But we'll be there with you, covering it each step of the way. For Ryan Dunleavy, I'm Joe Mauceri. Thank you for tuning in to the Gang Green Blitz each and every week. We'll talk to you soon, Jets fans. Hang in there.